begin with a somber update to a story we've been following for weeks.
Some people do not go missing. They are made to disappear. There is a difference. Going missing implies uncertainty. A decision made somewhere that nobody can trace. A path taken voluntarily into the unknown. But disappearing in plain sight on a Tuesday evening in front of a surveillance camera after walking out of a store with a normal everyday walk is something else entirely. That is not a mystery about where someone went. That is a mystery about what was waiting for them when they got there. Because here is what this case has that most missing persons cases do not. The camera saw him leave. His phone stopped working less than a mile away. His friends went home. His twin sister stopped hearing from him. And for 32 days, while his mother and his family searched every wooded area and every road and every apartment complex in the surrounding area, his body was there. Less than a mile from the store. Less than a mile from the last place anyone confirmed seeing him alive. Less than a mile from where his phone last pinged before someone turned it off. Here is the question this case has been asking since April 29th, 2026. What happened in the space between walking out of that store and disappearing into nothing? And who else knows the answer to that question? Welcome to Crime Cipher. We decode the cases the headlines summarize and the truth the system leaves behind. Subscribe if you are new here. This one does not let go. East Point sits in Fulton County, just southwest of Atlanta, Georgia. It is one of those cities that exists in the shadow of a larger one. Close enough to Atlanta that people commute in and out of it daily. Far enough that it has its own identity, its own neighborhoods, its own rhythm. Camp Creek Marketplace sits on Marketplace Boulevard in East Point, a large outdoor shopping complex. The kind of place that draws families and young people on any given day of the week. Target, restaurants, retail stores. The kind of commercial strip that exists in every major metropolitan area in America where people run errands and meet up and move through their lives without thinking twice about safety. The Target at Camp Creek Marketplace is exactly the kind of store you go to without planning anything significant around it. You go because you need something. You go because you're passing by. You go because a friend asked you to come along. On the evening of April 29th, 2026, Derek Samuel went because his friends were going. He walked in with them. And then somewhere inside that store the group separated. His friends left. Derek stayed behind. He walked out of that Target in a black hoodie and black sweatpants heading toward North Commerce Drive and Redwine Road. The surveillance camera caught him leaving. A normal everyday walk. Not in distress. Not looking over his shoulder. Just a 20-year-old walking out of a store on a Tuesday evening. That was the last confirmed image anyone has of Derek Samuel alive. What happened between that sidewalk and the reserve at Redwine Apartment Complex on Redwine Road less than a mile away is the question that 32 days of searching, drones, K-9 teams, volunteers, family members going out before work and after work every single day, and a $15,000 reward could not answer until the worst possible answer arrived on its own. Before we get to what those 32 days looked like and what the search eventually found, you need to know who Derek Samuel was. Because he was not just a name on a missing persons flyer. He was somebody specific. And the people who loved him knew exactly how specific he was. Derek Samuel was 20 years old, 5 feet 8 inches tall, 127 pounds. A young man from East Point, Georgia, with a smile that his mother said never really left his face. She described him as goofy. Always smiling. Always happy. She said she had never really seen her son sad or upset. That is not a description people reach for when they are trying to find something kind to say. That is a description of someone whose energy was so consistently warm that even the people closest to him had trouble remembering a moment when it was not there. He had a twin sister. That detail matters more than it might seem at first. Not because twins are unusual, but because of what his mother said about the two of them. Derek spoke to his twin sister every single day. Every day. That is not a weekly check-in or an occasional call. That is a daily connection between two people who came into the world together and had apparently never gone a full day without reaching out to each other. When Derek stopped calling his twin sister, it was not a sign that something might be wrong. It was a confirmation that something already was. His mother, Nishi Samuel, described the days after he stopped communicating as devastating. She said concern grew immediately after his twin sister stopped hearing from him. She said Derek would not just run away from life itself. That was never him. Derek was a fighter. He would never do that. Those words carry the weight of a mother who knew her child well enough to say with certainty what he would and would not do. And what she was certain he would not do was simply vanish without a word to the people who loved him most. He dreamed of starting his own clothing line. He enjoyed gaming. He was the kind of person whose energy naturally drew people to him according to everyone who spoke about him publicly. His Aunt Kamalata Howard said the family had a huge hole in their hearts from the moment he disappeared. His Aunt Carmelita Howard said it was rough, that they had good days and bad days, but mainly it was overwhelming. That they were going out before work and after work every single day looking for him and were not going to stop. That is who walked out of that Target on April 29th. A 20-year-old with a dream, a twin sister who had not gone a day without hearing from him, a mother who knew him well enough to know something was deeply wrong the moment the calls stopped, and a family that spent 32 days refusing to accept that the answer was the one they were most afraid of. April 29, 2026 started as an ordinary Tuesday. Derek Samuel went to the Target at Camp Creek Marketplace with two friends. That detail, two friends, is the detail this case cannot move past. Because what happened inside that store and what happened after the group separated is the thread that the entire investigation is now pulling on. The friends left. Derek stayed behind. His mother said he had gone to the store with friends, but stayed behind after the group separated. She said from what she could piece together Derek was supposed to be meeting someone there. Who that someone was has not been officially confirmed. But the fact that Derek stayed behind alone while his friends drove away is the first moment in this timeline where something that should have been simple stopped being simple. Surveillance cameras at Camp Creek Marketplace captured Derek leaving the Target on Marketplace Boulevard. He walked out in a black hoodie and black sweatpants heading toward North Commerce Drive and Redwine Road. East Point Police Lieutenant J.L. Watkins reviewed the footage and described what he saw. He said Derek was not looking over his shoulder as if someone was following him. It was a normal, everyday walk. That description is one of the most haunting details in this entire case. Not because it suggests nothing was wrong, but because it means that whatever was waiting for Derek Samuel on the other side of that camera did not announce itself in the footage. He walked out of that store with no visible sign of what was coming. And then he was gone. His phone was the next piece of the timeline to speak. Investigators located Derek's cell phone in a wooded area behind the shopping center near Redwine Road. That is less than a mile from the Target he had just walked out of. The phone had been turned off. East Point Police confirmed that they believe either Derek turned it off himself or someone else did. Those are the only two possibilities. Both of them are disturbing in ways that pull this case in two completely different directions. A 20-year-old who spoke to his twin sister every single day does not turn off his phone and stop calling. Therefore, the second possibility is the one the family and the community have been sitting with since the moment they learned where that phone was found. Family members say they do not believe Derek left on his own. They argue that he would have contacted his mother, his twin sister, and other loved ones if he had been able to. His mother said that in the weeks following his disappearance, disturbing social media posts began circulating suggesting that Derek may have been shot or killed. The family asked the community to avoid spreading misinformation and to contact investigators directly with credible information. But the posts kept coming, and the family kept searching. East Point Police deployed drones and K-9 teams across the Camp Creek Marketplace area and the Redwine Road corridor. Family members and volunteers organized their own searches. They went out before work and after work every single day. They searched wooded areas off Redwine Road hoping to find clues. Investigators also traveled to the 6900 block of Rogers Lake Road in DeKalb County, an area known locally as Aqua Waters Quarry, to search for Derek. The reward started at $5,000. It climbed to $15,000 after public figures including actors Tyrese Gibson and Gary Dordan contributed to the fund, helping push the case into national awareness channels and true crime spaces across social media. But here is where the friends angle becomes the most uncomfortable part of this entire timeline. New details began emerging in the weeks following Derek's disappearance about the two people who were with him at that Target on April 29th. the community began asking questions that investigators had not yet publicly answered. What did the friends see inside that store before they left? Why did the group separate? Who is Derek supposed to be meeting? Why did nobody raise an alarm sooner? The family asked the public to avoid speculation. But the questions kept building because the answers were not coming fast enough for a community that had spent 32 days watching a mother and a twin sister search for someone who was never far away. On Sunday, May 31st, 2026, Derek Samuel's body was found at the reserve at Redwine Apartment Complex on Redwine Road. The same road where his phone last pinged. The same area where family members and authorities had been searching for clues since the beginning. His Aunt Carmelita Howard told reporters she had a sad feeling in her heart all day. She said something down in her spirit said Derek was gone. 32 days of searching. $15,000 in reward money. Drones and 9 teams and volunteers going out before work and after work every single day. And his body was at the reserve at Redwine Apartment Complex on the same road where his phone had stopped working 32 days earlier. The case has been reclassified. East Point police have not disclosed a cause of death or named a suspect publicly. The investigation is active and ongoing. The discovery of Derek Samuel's body transformed a missing persons case into a homicide investigation. East Point police have not released a cause of death. They have not named a suspect. What they have confirmed is that the case is now being treated as a homicide. What investigators are left with is the why. And the why is sitting inside an investigation that has not yet given the public enough official information to make sense of. But the investigation that matters most to the people following this case is not the official one. It is the one that has been running in parallel on social media since the first week of May. Because the two friends who were with Derek at Target on April 29th have become the central focus of community scrutiny in a way that no official statement has addressed. New details have been emerging about those friends. The family has consistently asked the public to avoid spreading misinformation, but the questions about the friends have not gone away. They have gotten louder with every passing week. Here is what is confirmed about the friends. Derek went to Target with them. The group separated inside the store. The friends left. Derek stayed behind alone. His phone was found less than a mile away in a wooded area turned off. His body was found at an apartment complex on the same road 32 days later. The friends have not been publicly identified by investigators. They have not been named as suspects. But the gap between what is confirmed and what the community believes happened in that Target on April 29th is the gap that this investigation now has to close. East Point Police Lieutenant J.L. Watkins addressed the media in the early weeks of the investigation and confirmed the basic facts of the surveillance footage. He described Derek's walk as normal, beyond that the official information has been limited. The family repeatedly expressed frustration with what they described as conflicting information and a lack of assistance from authorities. His mother, Nishi Samuel, asked for privacy while also pleading for answers. She said she trusted God's plan, but she needed her son to come home. His Aunt Carmelita Howard organized community searches at Camp Creek Marketplace, coordinating volunteers who showed up on a Saturday to walk the areas surrounding the shopping center. She said the past weeks had left a huge hole in their hearts. She said, "We will not stop until we bring Derek home." Those words were spoken before the body was found, before the worst answer arrived, before the hole became permanent. Tyrese Gibson and Gary Dorton, contributing to the reward fund, pushed this case beyond the Atlanta metro area and into national true crime spaces. The $15,000 reward represented more than financial incentive. It represented a community and an entertainment industry saying that this 20-year-old's life mattered enough to invest in finding out what happened to him. 32 days. That is how long Derek Samuel's family spent searching for someone who was less than a mile away from where they started looking. 32 days of before work and after work searches. 32 days of passing out flyers and organizing volunteers and watching drones fly over wooded areas that held the answer the whole time. 32 days of a twin sister waking up every morning knowing that the person she had spoken to every single day of her life was somewhere she could not reach. That number sits differently once you know where the body was found. The reserve at Redwine Apartment Complex on Redwine Road. The same road where his phone last pinged on April April 29th, the same area that investigators and family members had been searching since the beginning. The answer was never far. But 32 days passed before it was confirmed. And somewhere in those 32 days, the two people who were with Derek Samuel at that target went home and went about their lives while his mother and his twin sister and his aunts searched every wooded area within walking distance of that store. His mother, Nishi Samuel, said her son was a fighter, that he would never just run away from life. She was right. Derek Samuel did not run away from life. Life was taken from him. The how and the who are sitting inside an active homicide investigation that East Point police have not yet brought to a public conclusion. No cause of death has been released. No arrest has been made. The investigation is ongoing. But here is what the community surrounding this case already knows. Someone knows what happened between that target and that apartment complex on Redwine Road. Someone knows why that phone was turned off in those woods. Someone knows what the two friends saw inside that store before they drove away and left a 20-year-old alone on a Tuesday evening. And that someone is either already talking to investigators or they are waiting for the pressure of a community that has spent 32 days searching to become too loud to ignore. East Point police are asking anyone with information to contact them directly. The $15,000 reward remains active. If you know anything about what happened to Derek Samuel between the evening of April 29th and the discovery of his body on May 31st, contact East Point Police Department. Anonymous tips matter. Small details matter. The thing you saw or heard that you are not sure is relevant is almost certainly relevant. Do you think the friends know more than they have said publicly? Drop your answer in the comments. Tell us what you think happened between that store and that road. Because Derek Samuel deserved better than a Tuesday evening that ended the way it ended. And his twin sister deserves to know the full truth about the last day her brother was alive. Share this episode with someone in the Atlanta area. Share it with anyone who knew Derek Samuel or who has been following this case online. Subscribe to Crime Cipher because the moment an arrest is made, the moment charges are filed, the moment East Point police give this family and this community the official answer they deserve, we will be back with a full update. This has been Crime Cipher. We decode the cases the system hopes you forget. Until next time, stay sharp out there, because sometimes the most dangerous moment is the one that happens after your friends decide to go home without you.